In 1984, Weird Al Yankovic released the parody song I Lost on Jeopardy! It features a memorably specific list of consolation prizes for the ultimate game show loser: a 20-volume encyclopedia set, turtle wax, and a year's supply of Rice-A-Roni. That lyric landed because for decades, Rice-A-Roni was the undisputed king of daytime television consolation prizes. If you watched a game show between the 1960s and the 1990s, you heard its name shouted by announcers right before the commercial break. And alongside those free boxes of food came a very specific marketing slogan. The brand positioned itself as the San Francisco Treat, a label that associated the product with the historic, regional identity of the city's waterfront. Millions of Americans bought the product believing they brought home an authentic piece of California history. But the television nostalgia and the cable car imagery obscure the actual origin of the food inside the box. In fact, the physical product is so disconnected from its marketing that a massive portion of the public today doesn't even know what it is. You can regularly find popular internet posts where people are expressing total shock that Rice-A-Roni actually contains pasta. Actual locals in the Bay Area rarely consider the dish part of their diet. You won't find it proudly served in historic San Francisco diners beside sourdough bread in Chiopino. To understand the true history of this food, we have to ignore the game show jingle, open the box, and separate its physical contents into 3 distinct piles. Each of these piles represents a specific cultural pivot point: an Italian immigration story, an Armenian survival recipe, and the booming convenience culture of 1950s America. This intersection of 3 different cultural histories transformed a local pasta company into a national household name through a series of accidental encounters. The pasta component starts in the late 19th century. Italian immigrant DeDomenico moved to San Francisco to establish a fresh produce shop. While running his shop, Domenico fell in love with Maria Ferrigno, a woman whose family owned a pasta factory in Italy. He saved his money, paid for her to travel to America, and they married. Drawing on Maria's heritage, they shifted from produce to pasta, establishing the Golden Grain Macaroni Company. For decades, Golden Grain was a successful local business. Domenico and his son spent the early 20th century mass-producing boxed macaroni for local Italian grocers. Because of this existing infrastructure, Golden Grain had an endless supply of dry vermicelli pasta. This vermicelli macaroni is the Roni in the famous brand name. While pasta was their industrial foundation, it wasn't unique enough to make the company a national name on its own. The shift occurred after World War II. Lois DeDomenico, the wife of one of Domenico's sons, befriended an Armenian immigrant named Palazzo Kaptanian. Kaptanian taught Lois how to make a traditional Levantine dish, a rich, savory rice pilaf. Making this pilaf relies on a highly specific method. Instead of boiling grains in water immediately, you start by browning dry rice and broken pasta together in butter to toast them before adding seasoned broth to simmer. Lois took this Armenian recipe and served it at a Domenico family dinner. The Italian pasta makers loved it so much that they immediately began making it for themselves. Rice-A-Roni exists because of this specific collision between the Domenico family's Italian production lines and Palazzo Kaptanian's Armenian kitchen. By the 1950s, the American food industry was rapidly changing. Consumers wanted quick, convenient household meals that required minimal prep time. Vince DeDomenico recognized a massive opportunity in his sister-in-law's pilaf. In 1958, he figured out a way to commercialize it. He packed the family's dry vermicelli and rice into a box and added a factory-made dry chicken soup mix. This powdered seasoning replaced the need to make homemade broth. He combined the words rice and macaroni, and Rice-A-Roni was officially born. To sell it nationally, the family hired an advertising agent named Bob Pritkin. Pritkin knew the product needed an identity, so he fabricated a sense of regional romance. He created the iconic jingle and paid to have the company's logo plastered onto San Francisco cable cars to make the boxed food feel exotic to Middle America. The company then aggressively pushed the product onto television sets. Supplying endless boxes as prizes on daytime game shows guaranteed the brand name would be spoken aloud to millions of people multiple times a day. The San Francisco Treat worked as a marketing hook, successfully packaging a post-war convenience food hack into a piece of cultural nostalgia. The financial success of that powdered pilaf was staggering. The Golden Grain Macaroni Company generated so much cash that in 1963, the DeDomenico family purchased the famous Ghirardelli chocolate company. The brand eventually caught the attention of major conglomerates. In 1986, Quaker Oats purchased the Golden Grain Company from the DeDomenicos. The latter didn't stop there. In 2001, PepsiCo acquired Quaker Oats, securing Rice-A-Roni within one of the largest food portfolios on the planet. An Armenian survival recipe, cooked by an Italian family, had become a heavily traded asset on the global corporate market. The brand successfully sold a manufactured history of regional identity for over 60 years. Behind that marketing, the box contains a genuine record of cross-cultural adaptation, pairing Italian pasta with Armenian techniques and 1950s powdered broth. This specific combination of cultural heritage, convenience chemistry, and television marketing makes the product uniquely American. While the regional mythology was fabricated for the cameras, the story of how the ingredients actually reached the box remains one of the most successful immigrant food histories in the country.